The violent
It will
assault that took
falter
place here,
and
the
fail.
very fact of how close
The
we
violent
came
assault that
to
took
an
place
election
here,
overturned,
the very fact of how close we came to an election overturned, that reflects the fragility of democracy.
We're hearing, of
Yet,
course, Vice President
the
Kamala
resolve
Harris
I saw in our
addressing
elected
the
leaders when I
Capitol
returned
Rotunda
to the Senate
on a
chamber
year
that
after
night.
January 6th
Their
riots.
resolve not to
And I want to get your
yield,
reaction to some of
but
this
to
at
certify
217
the
629
election.
7970. Again,
Their
217
loyalty
629 7970. That's the phone number you can
but to
call
the
in to chime in
Constitution of the
on some of
United
what you're hearing
States.
here as we pick up on
That
Vice President
reflects
Kamala
its
Harris.
strength.
Expecting to also hear from President Joe
And
Biden.
so, of course,
So
does
we'll
the
bring those
Herald
remarks to you here on the
of the Capitol
WMAY morning
Police,
news feed. Now,
the DC
8:13. I'm Greg
Metropolitan
Bishop.
Police
More
Department,
remarks from Vice
the
President
National
Kamala
Guard, and other
Harris.
law enforcement officers who answered the call that day, including those who later succumbed to wounds, both visible and invisible. Our thoughts are with all of the families who have lost a loved one. You know, I wonder, how will January 6th come to be remembered in the years ahead? Will it be remembered as a moment that accelerated the unraveling of the oldest, greatest democracy in the world?
So again, we'll take your calls here on the WMAY morning news feed at 217-629-7970, and we'll dip back in here to the vice president and possibly the president. But again, 217-629-7970. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
What a crock of crap, man. I'm pretty sure more people died and more properties were ruined through the riots about, this and that, about how they hated Trump, especially out in Detroit. And then she says that she has kids on a daily basis ask her about January 6th. I call capital B, capital S.
All right, got you down. Again, hearing your thoughts, 217-629-7970. More from the vice president speaking now at the Capitol on the year after the Capitol riots in Washington, D.C. on January 6th.
Sit on the sidelines. We must unite in defense of our democracy in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility.
217-629-7970. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Hey, good morning, Greg. No one should ever use violence because violence begets violence. So the individuals that went to the Capitol and used force that day, they need to be prosecuted. On the other side, the Supreme Court failed and the court systems failed. And all they had to do was hear any of the election irregularity cases before January 6th, and it would have prevented this. Then there's other questions if there was provocateurs, whether it was the FBI or law enforcement, how much was known, how much security was purposely left out of the Capitol grounds to possibly create this atmosphere. I still have a lot of questions. And for the January 6th committee, in my opinion, and I think the legal opinion is that it's not a legitimate committee because there wasn't a ranking member assigned by the minority party. This is the first time that a precedent happened where the majority party appointed members from the minority party. So you can't say it's a bipartisan committee. And that's the main problem when you have subpoena power, because they're supposed to be a legislative body that enacts law. They're not supposed to be a courtroom. So now they're putting all these subpoenas out there, including one which was for somebody invoking their Fifth Amendment right.
Yeah, so we'll hear now from President Joe Biden. He is addressing the Capitol right now.
Our Constitution faced the gravest of threats. Outnumbered in the face of a brutal attack, the Capitol Police, the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department, the National Guard, and other brave law enforcement officials saved the rule of law. Our democracy held. We, the people, endured. We, the people, prevailed. For the first time in our history, a president had not just lost an election, he tried to prevent the peaceful transfer of power as a violent mob breached the Capitol. But they failed. They failed. And on this day of remembrance, we must make sure that such attack never happens again. I'm speaking to you today from Statuary Hall in the United States Capitol. This is where the House of Representatives met for 50 years in the decades leading up to the Civil War. This is on this floor where young Congressman from Illinois, Abraham Lincoln, sat at desk 191. Above him, above us, over that door leading into the rotunda, is a sculpture depicting Cleo, the muse of history. In her hands, an open book in which she records the events taking place in this chamber below. Cleo stood watch over this hall 1 year ago today, as she has for more than 200 years. She recorded what took place, the real history, the real facts, the real truth, the facts and the truth that Vice President Harris just shared, and that you and I and the whole world saw with our own eyes. The Bible tells us that we shall know the truth, and the truth shall make us free. We shall know the truth. Well, here is the God's truth about January 6, 2021. Close your eyes. Go back to that day. What do you see? Rioters rampaging, waving for the first time inside this Capitol Confederate flag that symbolized the cause to destroy America, to rip us apart. Even during the Civil War, that never, ever happened. But it happened here in 2021. What else do you see? A mob breaking windows, kicking in doors, breaching the Capitol. American flags on poles being used as weapons, as spears. Fire extinguishers being thrown at the heads of police officers. A crowd that professes their love for law enforcement assaulted those police officers, dragged them, sprayed them, stomped on them. Over 140 police officers were injured. We all heard the police officers who were there that day testify.
Again, this is President Joe Biden speaking in the halls of Congress about being 1 year after the January 6th riots. He highlighted how there were dozens of police officers injured in those riots, but he did not yet speak of Ashley Babbitt, the one person that was shot by a Capitol Guard at the U.S. Capitol. 217-629-7970. We'll dip back into this a bit more, but of course I want to get your phone calls. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Hey, Greg, how are you today?
Good. Yourself?
Good. Hey, one thing I noticed earlier, you had a letter from Rodney Davis you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit confused. Wasn't he appointed to the committee and then wasn't on the committee? And now he's criticizing the committee?
He was appointed to the committee. So was Jim Jordan. And when Nancy Pelosi said Jim Jordan can't be on the committee, I think that's when Rodney Davis decided to step down.
Yeah.
I think that's how it happened. I'm not sure.
Who appointed Rodney Davis to the committee?
I believe that was the Republican leader.
Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, did she? No. Why would she appoint Davis?
Well,
that doesn't make sense. That's not how it works, I don't think.
Well, that's how. Well, the Republicans put him on there, and she liked to keep him on there. And I think Republicans should understand that she's pretty happy having Rodney on that committee.
Wow. All right. 217-629-7970. Well, Rodney Davis, in a letter we read earlier about some of the questions that still remain as President Joe Biden continues speaking here. We'll get to more of your calls.
They were looking to subvert the Constitution. This isn't about being bogged down in the past. It's about making sure the past isn't buried. That's the only way forward. That's what great nations do. They don't bury the truth. They face up to it. Sounds like hyperbole, but that's the truth. They face up to it. We are a great nation. My fellow Americans, in life there's truth, and tragically there are lies. Lies conceived and spread for profit and power. We must be absolutely clear about what is true and what is a lie. And here's the truth. The former President of the United States of America has created and spread a web of lies about the 2020 election. He's done so because he values power over principle, because he sees his own interest as more important than his country's interest, than America's interest, and because his bruised ego matters more to him than our democracy or our Constitution. He can't accept he lost, even though that's what 93 United States senators, his own attorney general, his own vice president, governors and state officials in every battleground state have all said. He lost. That's what 81 million of you did as you voted for a new way forward.
Again, we're hearing from President Joe Biden addressing the halls of Congress as we're now 1 year after January 6th, 2021, the Capitol riots in the U.S. Capitol, where one individual was shot and killed by a Capitol police officer. And there were a lot of other officers that were injured and a lot of other injuries as well. 217-629-7970. Again, the president there not naming former President Donald Trump, but essentially putting blame on former President Donald Trump for what happened a year ago. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Good morning. I think there's so much I've heard between Kamala Harris and this joker that's talking now. This is ridiculous. Hundreds of police officers were injured. I don't remember there being that big a number. I thought it was more like maybe 12. And then there was videos of actually police officers letting people into the building. So, you know, they're not telling the whole story. They're slanting this story one way, and it's just making me sick. And Camilla talking about how she hopes this is going to make our country better. I hope this makes our country better by igniting these people and getting them out to vote to get these jokers out of the White House before they destroy this country. Trump did more good things for this country than these guys have done in 15 years. So,
well, that's again just one person's thoughts here on the WMAY morning news feed. More from President Joe Biden.
Allow ourselves to be that kind of nation. The way forward is to recognize the truth and to live by it. The big lie being told by the former president and many Republicans who fear his wrath is that the insurrection in this country actually took place on Election Day, November 3rd, 2020. Think about that. Is that what you thought? Is that what you thought when you voted that day? Taking part in an insurrection? Is that what you thought you were doing? Or did you think you were carrying out your highest duty as a citizen and voting? Former president's supporters are trying to rewrite history. They want you to see Election Day as the day of insurrection. And the riot that took place here on January 6th as a true expression of the will of the people. Can you think of a more twisted way to look at this country, to look at America?
Again, hearing from President Joe Biden. Got full phone lines here. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Hey, morning, Greg.
Hey.
Hey, bud, why do you keep calling it a riot when it was more of a coup attempt to overthrow the government? What's the riot?
Has that been borne out that there was like a large coordinated effort to overthrow the government?
Well, let's see. You attacked the Capitol with the intention of killing and murdering all of your politicians, including the vice president. I would say that's an attempt at a coup to overtake the government. Yes, that's normally what happens in third world countries.
Well, were there? I mean, I haven't seen the entire list of charges against the 700 people, but from my understanding, a lot of it was just trespassing charges. So, I mean, listen, I get that some people want to characterize it one way or the other, but let's just, let's let all the facts come out. 217-629-7970. Good morning.
Good morning, Greg. You know, my dad used to say, if you say things enough and you repeat them over and over, you will think that they're true. Biden has basically said, lies, lies. We need the truth, the truth. Well, and we're not going to get it from him. You know, he's trying to say that, you know, that the left is, or the right is trying to rewrite history and everything like that whenever the left is in control. Well, you need to do a better job of staying in control if you're letting the right side try to rewrite everything that's going on. And, you know, he just keeps saying, you know, we need the truth, and the truth is out there and everything like that. So it's getting to be a little X-Files stuff. And he just has no idea really truly what's going on, because, you know, he's just a puppet too.
Well, and listen, I mean, there's some people in Congress, and I read some of what Rodney Davis had to say about what's not been revealed yet. And he said that the events of January 6th, and this is a letter that Rodney Davis sent to Nancy Pelosi, exposes serious security vulnerabilities at the Capitol complex. Unfortunately, in the past year, House Democrats have been more interested in exploiting the events of January 6th for political purposes than in conducting basic oversight of the security vulnerabilities on that day. Republicans have sought to conduct oversight hearings ourselves, he said, including understanding how official preparedness and response to the violence January 6th played out. However, the House officials who are appointed by and answer to Nancy Pelosi have blocked access to records. That's not getting to the truth if records are going to be blocked. 217-629-7970. Guys, we're coming up on a break, way late for it. I got to take a break, but I want to get one more phone call in. Good morning.
If it was a coup to overthrow the government, I mean, if that's what they're portraying it being, wouldn't you take a bunch of weapons and arm yourself to do that? I don't think that happened.
Well, sir, they did have flagpoles. They had, some of them may have had pocket knives. Some of them may have had some kind of batons or something, or they may have taken batons away from police.
Right. But if you're going to try to take over somebody, you're going to do it with armament, or be more precise about how you're going to do it. You ain't going to go there. It was a protest, and then that's my house. That Capitol building is mine. It's everybody in them. It's America's. It's not the congressman.
Everybody listening right now.
Ours.
Right.
It's ours.
Yep. Appreciate the call. 217-629-7970. Guys, of course, you can go and watch the president's remarks. It's on their White House YouTube page. Very accessible. You can watch the whole thing. So if you feel like you need to take all of that in. Right now, though, it's 8:30. We're woefully late for a break.